to introduce Professor Tom Farrell. He is professor at Brock University in Canada, and he is quite well known for his religious practice, right? He is well known all over the world for what he has done for that particular area in our general TESOL field. He has been invited to so many different types of conferences, workshops, all over the world for so many years. And even when we run into each other at international conferences, I got to know about a few things today, right before this session, while talking with each other. I mean, my question was, for example, when I looked at the list of books he has published recently, or in the recent some years, every single book title includes the word reflection. So, reflective teaching, reflection as action, reflective training, or whatever. So my question was, aren't you tired of talking about it? Either anybody, any scholars or whatever, we could get tired of the same topic to talk about, to write about, or we could feel drained. Oh, I don't want to think about it any longer. But in his case, he told me, oh no, it took almost 30 years for me to create my own framework for reflection. That's what I got to know about his attitude about his own lovely topic. And at the same time, I got to realize that he taught at Yonsei so many years ago. And he is a real classroom teacher, trainer, teacher, educator, and scholar, and so many things. So based on his real teaching experiences in diverse settings, classroom settings, he has been maintaining his own world, his own theory of reflective practice. So, why don't we give a big round of applause to him for his special session today at Sookmyung.
I don't need the mic, do I? Or else I can sing for you if you like. And then I start bringing it around. So if you don't mind, the voice, forget my voice. Yeah. Okay, so Professor Young, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. You weren't talking about me, but thank you very much. And she's running away now. Okay. So, briefly, my name is Tom. So, please call me Tom. I usually wear a baseball hat when I teach, for many reasons. This is called Reflective Inquiry, and it's my webpage. So, if you're interested, please visit my webpage. I have all kinds of papers and all nonsense. If you're interested, it's up to you. And you'll see me wearing this. Usually, even when I go to conferences and I'm invited to speak in front of 1,000 or 2,000 people, I still wear my hat. I teach at Brock University in Canada, which is near Niagara Falls. Do you know where Niagara Falls is? The nice side, not the American side. If anybody is American here, my apologies, for many reasons. We're not going to talk politics. Anyway, so I live near there, and Brock University is there, and it's a small university, about 20,000, but it's a lovely place. The students are great, and I always wear my baseball hat, but a different one. I'm a Manchester United fan in soccer. Unfortunately, we're doing really bad, but we'll buy the league back sometime. I wear a Manchester United hat. I'll wear all different hats when I lecture, and the students don't care. But the dean, sometimes I'm walking in the corridor and I get a little bit hot, right? And I take it off. And the dean said, Tom, I didn't recognize you with it. So now if I don't wear it, so today I'll wear it for a while until I get too hot and I might take it off again. my area is reflective practice. I was a teacher. I hear that you're all teachers. So I'm honored that you allow me to play with you today. We're going to play today. We're going to reflect. I was in the classroom, and most of what I do is I try and translate theory into practice for normal human beings, i.e. teachers. Not the academic crap that you hear. Oh, excuse me. The academic nonsense, some people, the theory of and the theory of that. I don't deal with theories. So two people have influenced my work. The first one is called John Dewey. He's an American educator. Anything interesting in education can be traced back to him. Everything else is nonsense. And then another person I'm interested in, well, Dewey was a long time ago in the 1930s. I read his stuff, but it's very complicated. Everybody thinks it's easy. If you read that stuff in English, it's difficult. So I read 3 or 4 years ago, I got a grant from the Canadian government, to do, actually they gave me, I won't tell you the amount, but nearly 100,000 to study 3 teachers as they reflected on their work. I experienced teachers, like you guys, you're experienced. And as a result, I had to reread Dewey's work, and I came up with my own model of reflective practice. I'm not going to give you the theory of it, don't worry, you're going to reflect with me. And then another person I'm influenced by is called Donald Schoon. Have you ever heard of him? Maybe not. He did his PhD on Dewey's theory of reflective inquiry. Do you see where I stole the name? From John Dewey, his theory of reflective inquiry. My point is, reflection goes back to the 1930s. It goes back to the 1930s. And it came back in 1980 with a guy called Donald Schoon. The reason it came back was because teachers were burning out. Too much to do. Too many of these checklists, etc. to fill out. You know all that. Practicum, you know, they have this stupid thing, classroom observation. So many things. Student-teacher rapport. What is student-teacher rapport? I don't know what the hell that is. Anyway, all these things that are preconceived. So, reflective practice is not mine, in case you think it is. It's an area that saved my life as a teacher. When I was teaching, in 1986, I made a decision. I would stay in teaching or I will leave. This saved me. I started reading this stuff and it was really, really interesting for me. So, that's as far as I'll tell you that. I travel a lot. I'm getting older now, so I'm cutting down on my travel. 13 hours from Toronto to Seoul. No human being should have to sit through that, but we have to sit through it. So, I first came to Korea, here's a shocker, 40 years ago. Oh. And I'm only 32. 40 years ago, my wife's Korean. Oh. And I'm Daltaliata. The girls are the best. Sorry. I have 2 daughters, and I'm originally from Ireland. Oh. But I'm now Canadian, so I'm completely James Bond spy. I have 2 passports. I think I have my Canadian passport here. And so my daughters are Irish and Korean. No, actually they had to give up to Korean, so they're Irish and Canadian. And my eldest daughter, she's maybe older than some of you, but she's married, but she's still fluent in Korean, because they grew up here. And my youngest daughter is, bilingual, she's bilingual, but English comes out all the time. My wife speaks Korean to them. Nobody speaks to me at home. now they've moved on. My youngest daughter got her PhD last year. And she's in the University of Ottawa doing research on bullying. And then I thought, is there anything for her child? I don't think there's anything for her child. So, I love Korea. I love coming back here. Are you going to the conference tomorrow? Okay, tomorrow, if you want to come to my talk on teacher expertise, I'm bashing expertise. Everybody thinks I'm going to talk about what an expert teacher is. Yes, I am, and then I'm going to say this is nonsense. So come in and have some fun. I don't know what time it's at. 1:30, I think I'm talking. Come in, and if you come in, say hello to me. Say that I survived Friday afternoon with you. Okay? If you don't say that, then I'll find you. So how come I never say that? In fact, my students, they think I'm crazy, totally crazy. Because but now they just don't care, they don't listen to me. They're lovely. Okay, so, reflective practice. These days, reflective practice is very common in medicine, in law, and in business, as a mark of professional competence. It's also very popular in education. Most educators agree some form of reflection is good. As one scholar said, who would want to champion the unreflective practitioner? We don't want that, right? So, but over the years, lots has happened. And there's no agreement still in education about what reflective practice is. How many people heard of reflective practice before? You've never heard of it? Interesting. Good. We're going to have some fun there. So, if you ever read about it, there are many different approaches and they're confusing. So, I created this framework I told you about in the last 3 years. Framework for reflecting on practice, which is different than Dewey and Schoen. I bring them in. It's holistic. It integrates the mind, the body, the soul. So what I'm telling you is my approach to reflection is you as a human being, as a teacher, are at the center of reflection, not the classroom and fixing a problem. Many people think that reflective practice is fixing some problem in the classroom. That's not what it is. It includes the classroom. And it has 5 stages. 5 stages. And here they are. Here are the stages. Philosophy, principles, theory, practice, and beyond practice. And I'll explain them briefly. By the way, you're going to go through every stage with me today. We're going to reflect. The first one is teacher as person, the philosophy. Who is the self that teaches? Who are you? Who are you as a teacher? You know, teachers, we teach in classrooms, and nobody really gives a damn about who we are. They think, oh, you're a machine, just teach me. What about me? So it's you. Who is the self that teaches? That's what the first part is. Principles is, we're in the business of teaching English. You're all teaching English? Am I correct? Yes? Are you going to talk to me today? No? Are you teaching English?
Yes.
Okay. Are you tired?
Yes.
Friday after, I got the really bad hour Friday afternoon. Okay, let's cancel. Let's go for a drink. Later. Okay, no, don't worry, I'm not going to give you a hard time today. We're going to have some fun today. Right?
Yes.
Wait a minute, education is fun? Who said that? Theory. Theorizing about practice with critical incidents. How many people have 10 years teaching experience? 9, 10, okay? 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No teaching experience. Nobody, you're not 20 years, 15 years. Okay, nobody's putting their hand up. How many years teaching experience have you? How many do you have?
I'm not a teacher.
What are you?
I'm just working in other fields. I was junior interest. I have
Okay.
interest in-
Yourself?
Yes.
Behind?
6 years.
6 years, yes. The more experience you have doesn't necessarily mean the better teacher you are. Oh. Okay, so critical incidents. You all have had some examples of critical incidents in your classroom. Practice. Many teachers say it's a classroom and I have to teach a lesson. I suggest you change your mind and say a classroom is a center of inquiry. It's not only a place where students learn, it's also a place where teachers learn. I have learned a lot as a teacher teaching my students. And every time I learn something, I tell them, oh, I never thought about that before. Especially my graduate students. They come up with better ideas than I have. So I'm always eager to learn. Beyond practice is the social, political, moral, spiritual implications of what we do. In the field of teaching English, that is very, very weak. And in certain countries, it's not used at all because governments are controlling how you think. So I will be gentle on this aspect of reflection. So I'm going to take you through on a journey. So I hope you come with me. It means that I'm going to ask you to reflect on certain aspects of your work. If you're a teacher. If you're not a teacher, what are you?
I'm working as a humanitarian worker. But
Excellent.
I'm thinking to change my career.
After today, you will change your career.
Yeah.
You can change it to whatever you like. I'm making this for English teachers, but you can do it for your life as well. I don't mind. And if you need my help, ask me as well. So, first of all, this particular model, you can do it deductively, either theory into practice. For example, beginning teachers, they like to start with the philosophy and then move to principles and theory and practice. But practicing teachers, they want to jump into the classroom immediately. Or inductive, they want to go backwards. Whatever way you want to do it is up to you. But today I'm going to go this way, right around. I'm going to start with philosophy. We're ready to start. Are you ready to start?
Yes.
Okay. Is what you do a reflection of who you are? Think about that sentence for a minute. Is what you do a reflection of who you are? If you don't understand that, I'll explain it. Is what you do a reflection of who you are? When you go into the classroom, are you you? Stupid question, Tom. Are you you? No, I'm my mother. Actually, some people are their mother. Yes, you'll find out. Some people are their mother. Or worse, some people are their high school teacher 20 years ago. They're not you. So it's not a stupid question. I'm stupid, I know, but that's not a stupid question. So, are you ready? Narrative frames are, I'm going to give you the beginning of a sentence. You have to finish the sentence. Have you got a pen, paper? Are you ready to go? This is not a test, don't worry, I'm not going to make it. This is for you. Now, you have to be, and you might have to answer the first question. You have to be as honest as you like to yourself. You understand that? All right, are you ready? There we go. Write the sentence and finish it. On a Friday afternoon, what a question. They get worse. Don't think too much, just write. No cheating, no copying. Are you ready to go? Can I go? Can I continue? This is good. I'm just giving you a taste of this. Next one. That one's going to give you a hard time. I became a teacher because my mother told me to. That's not the answer. Whatever comes into your mind, be honest. I'll tell you some of the answers, my answers. And I'm going to share other answers from different workshops. I did this around the world. I'm giving you the shorter version today, because it's Friday. Ready? Last question. I should explain that. You know what a vocation is? It's like spiritual, religious. You know, people always say in English, I don't know about Korean whether you use that phrase, oh, teaching is a vocation, it's a calling. So, by the way, you can disagree with all of these too. If anyone doesn't understand, please let me know. If anybody doesn't understand, let me know. I can help you out. Okay. Teaching is a vocation. It's like a religious experience. You know, you're called. Maybe God calls you, or Dangun calls you, or... Dangun. Is that wrong pronunciation? Good. Okay. Uncle Dangun. Oh, Uncle Dangun calls you. Buddha called you, I don't know what your religious, nobody called you.
What kind of really believe in
Oh, please put it down, say, yeah. Now you get the picture. You're getting the picture. I'm starting off nice. Where do I get going? Write down whatever comes into your mind. This is the first time in your life that you can be honest with yourself. Remember, there's no required answer and I'm not going to collect it. Supposing I collect it and grade you? You can't grade reflection. Impossible. Yours and mine are different. Different experiences. Do you mind I'm coming down? I don't want to frighten you. Just to say hello. These are the Backstreet Girls. You know the Backstreet Boys?
Yeah.
My daughters were crazy about the Backstreet Boys. So I had to go to the concert with them. I hated them and then I heard them in a concert. I started liking them. Don't tell anybody. I shall deny it under the grounds of the Geneva Convention. Okay, so that's just a little taste. Are we nearly ready? I'd like you to share your answers with the person we... Are you sick of each other? Do you want to change? Okay, in Canada, once a seminar starts, the first week, everybody sits X, Y, whatever. The second week, same bloody seat. All the time the same seat. And so, as the lecturer, I usually sit in their seat to annoy them and say, "You're in my seat." I said, "Who said you own that seat?" So if you'd like to change, you can. But it's Friday afternoon and you don't know. So here, you can do an exorcist with your head. Spin your head to that girl there. Talk to her. Together? 4, 2, 4. What would you like? 2, 3 here. 3. Talk to each other. 4 here. Twist your head around. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Yeah. Together? Yeah. We're good. Off you go. So that we don't share gossip. my New York Irish.
No.
Okay, so, well done, nice talk. You know, today, reflection is getting real about teaching. This is our room. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, except for the camera, of course. You're all going to be exploited later. No, anyway. So, it's getting real about teaching. For example, we were chatting about this. Fun fact. When you're teaching, you can't go to the toilet. No. I'm not kidding you. In other words, when you're teaching and you want to go to the toilet, you can't. Well, unless you're dying. It's very awkward. Do you know that teachers have the highest urinary tract infections of all professions? That's not fair! Put my hand up then. And I remember teaching in Korea. Korean students are famous with me for what? Sleeping with their eyes open. And then, drool come down here. Canadian students, they just go out. But Korean students are you listening? So I miss Korean students. They're great. So let's get real. Let's get real here. I'm going to share some of the answers that other teachers around the world that I've done this with. These are 3 questions, and I'm going to show you a few more. There are lots more questions you can ask. Today I just want to give you a kind of a taste of reflective practice. By the way, you have my email, and I'll give it to you again. You have my webpage. Please email me. I'm going to go back to Canada, and actually, I'm going back to Canada on Wednesday, and on Tuesday, and then I'm leaving Seoul at 9:15 and getting to Canada at 9:35 the same day. It's like a 5-minute flight. On Saturday, I go to Pittsburgh. I'm driving. It's a 4-hour drive from where I live. And I'm going to do a plenary at TESOL, Three Rivers TESOL conference. They invited me. And I'm going to talk about reflective practice as well. So I go around doing a lot of this with teachers. And the reason I do it is I was a teacher. I know how, people say, oh, you like teaching, don't you? No. Oh, you just love your students. No. That's total rubbish. I'm serious. Okay, I teach. At this moment, I teach a graduate class, and there's one student I really don't like. I don't like the student. So what do? I pinch myself, and I say, in my mind, I really don't like, I can't share the vocabulary. I'm on camera. But there's other vocabulary. Anyway, but I'm a professional. I have a duty to teach you equally as well as everybody else. But if you suppress that, what's your name? Michael. Mine is Jihun. I'm kidding, right? You have a sense of humor? By the way, do you have a sense of humor? If you don't, go home now. We're going to get worse in here. It's Friday afternoon. You have to survive it. What the hell was I going to talk about? I was going to say to you. Okay, supposing I don't like Michael. Okay? And I don't do this, and I said, and then Michael says something, no! Like that. What you do is you take it out on that student without knowing it. But this is, everybody is telling us what to do. Administrators, I hate administrators. And if you're looking at this, I hate administrators. They tell us what to do all the time, and they leave many principals in high schools, right? Many principals, they were teachers like 20 years ago. They left the classroom. They don't know what it is anymore. They're gone. Bye-bye. They get more money maybe, I don't know. Administrators, parents, everybody tells us why. Do you know why parents tell us what to do? Because teaching as a profession is the only profession in the world that everybody has experience in. For example, we were all students, right? And we spend, when you were in kindergarten, elementary, and high school, you spend all of those years building up subconsciously an image of what a good teacher is and a bad teacher. We're going to get to that in a few minutes. But medicine, for example, if you go into a medical doctor, right, and the medical doctor, said, doctor, I have a pain in my elbow, right? And the doctor says, oh, yes, Tom. Is it Tom? Yes. You have a pain in your elbow. Oh, is your meniscus or meniscus, take these pills every 3 hours and come back in a week. And what will you do? Yes, doctor. even though you haven't a clue what the doctor said to you. You have no idea. Yes, doctor, because the doctor is a professional, and the doctor is speaking doctor language, and then the doctor must be correct. Parents come into you, parent-teacher meeting. You know, well, I think your son, Jihoon, or Michael, Michael, he's not adapting well to reading. Oh, my son is great. What do you know about? You know what I mean? I'm the professional, but they don't consider us that. Reflective practice helps us to get this idea of who we are as a teacher, and we have this confidence teaching and say, hey, look, I've done all the work I can. I prepared. This is the class. Then you ooze that professionalism, and they won't threaten you anymore. To me, the word teacher means from around the world. I want to meet that person, right? That sounds good. Interesting. Okay, you ready for the next one? I became a teacher. I'm going to share you my answer too, by the way. Isn't that honest? By the way, I became a teacher because my mother signed the papers for me to go to Teachers College in Ireland. I was busy. No, I'm serious. My undergraduate degree is in business studies. I have the worst education all over the place. I have a degree in business studies. So I think I wanted to become a teacher, but my examination was in October, in Ireland at that time, October, and you had to sign the forms in September for November start in Teachers College. And of course I didn't. My mother got the forms herself and signed them. And so when I finished the exams, I thought, what the hell am I going to do? She said, well, why don't you be a teacher? Mummy! I'm a teacher because of Mummy. So I said, okay. And then I taught in a high school for 2 hours every morning as a practicum, right? Every morning. Free, slave labor. I love the classroom. I love the classroom. From that moment, I love the classroom. And I haven't left. But I haven't graduated yet. So, that's my story. And I'll own up to it, right? So, this one here. I believe teaching is a calling to God. Look at this answer. I heard a little bit of pushback. Are you in that camp? Would you like to share with everybody or not? I don't want to put you on the spot.
I pretty much said the same thing because calling seems like too big a word to say for the teaching job. Because I always thought that the calling is for nuns or priests. It's kind of very dedicated and also committed religious stuff. So I don't really think that I was called to this job.
Oh, my mother called me, but that's different. But it does, you know, I mean, do you agree, or does anybody disagree? Because they're split here. Does anybody disagree, or you want to say it or not? Okay, because I'm going to bash this. Because when we're getting real about who we are as a teacher, this is people actually use this. They use it, and they're not teachers. For example, teaching is a calling, right? And they put 50, 60, 70 students in your classroom. How the hell can you call anybody with 50, 70 students? You can't teach 70 students. I don't know, how many in your class? 25. That's not too bad. But in Canada, they're increasing the number because they're cutting the budget. And the teachers are going berserk over it. Yeah, there's, I think, 28 in high school or 29. It used to be 24. And what they do is they cut teachers. There's warfare there at the moment. But here's the problem. If you complain as a teacher, what they say is, oh, but teaching is a calling, it's a noble art. Let's pay you nothing, if you know what I mean. No, I'm serious. Okay, so here's an ESL teacher. I work with many teachers with reflective practice groups. And here's an ESL, you know what ESL means, a second language teacher. 25-year experience. By the way, a journal. Has anybody ever written a journal here? A journal. Okay. A journal. Any kind of journal in Korean or anything. You know your private journal? Did you write a private journal? Okay, so when I started reflective practice in 1986 in Korea. In Korea. Writing a journal. Wait a minute. When I was young, I never wrote a journal. I wrote on the wall, maybe, on the toilet wall. I never wrote a journal, and I thought, no. But I made this decision. I thought, I'm going to get into teaching or I'm going to leave it. So I read something about writing a journal, and you look at it. So, by the way, you're writing a journal now. Everyone in this room has started a journal. Those 3 questions are the beginning of your journal. They're the beginning of your journal. So I worked with these teachers, and they wrote a journal every week. Here is at the beginning, and we reflected for 1 semester. Here's the beginning of the reflection period. Have a look. I bet all of you are going to see yourself in this journal. This is a real teacher reflecting on real life as a teacher. None of this nonsense in the movies that think about teachers. Right? Here is at the end of the reflection period. There's 2 things I want to make point about this for you guys in your I'm talking about reflection, and I'm giving you ideas about how to reflect in your life. Start a journal. I did it in 1986. What did I do? I wrote every day for 3 months. And it's like, oh, excuse me, and then the camera excuse me, oh, this is bullshit, this is nonsense. All feelings, and then after a class, they're like, oh, do you know that she spoke better English? You know what I mean? Then, after 3 months, I looked at the journal, and I saw a trend in my journal. That started me, kept me in teaching. The trend is, my goodness, this is very interesting. And I hate journal writing. If you do a journal, you don't have to do it in English, do it in Korean, make it easy for yourself. Now, I keep doing this, but you're the digital age. Remember, I came here 40 years ago, no internet. I'm creating a baby. I was a baby once. Okay, I'm creating a baby. Here's one of the things Professor Young, I get her name correct. Professor Young, she introduced me and she said I write a lot. Actually, I have 35 books. But they're all the same, don't worry. I gave her my latest book. I just published a book 2 weeks ago. I gave her a copy of it. I hope she reads it. Anyway, I write, and here's why I write. How do I know what I think until I see what I say? It's from E.M. Forrester. I didn't make that up. I wish I did. How do I know what I think until I see what I say? So, when I write, I see my thoughts. So when you write, you must stop to think about what you're going to write, and then when you have written, you can see. How do I know what I think until I see what I say? I love that phrase. It kept me going. So, Professor Young says, don't you get tired about writing? That's me. It's circular. I write about my work. How am I going to go around the world and talk about reflection and not do it myself? Isn't that an insult to everybody in this room? That's why I do what I do. And so I must write because I'm talking BS all the time. If I write, I can slow myself down and see it. So, let me take the vocation thing. This teacher, 25 years experience. I know her well, MA, she was one of my students. She's a college ESL teacher, by the way. So wonderful as a teacher, but burnt out totally burnt out, tired. We must distinguish between justifiable dedication to student learning and self-destructive workaholism. You know, teaching as a vocation. Some administrators, they take advantage of teachers and try to make us do too much. You know, sometimes you have to say, no, I can't. It's pedagogically unsound. You're not helping the children, you're not helping yourself, you're not helping anybody. Self-destructive workaholism. That's why I actually think teaching as a vocation is used by others to control teachers. I totally agree with you guys. I totally agree with you. And by the way, I've done this in South America, Europe, all over the world. You're the first group that ever questioned that way. I'm very proud of you today. You're the first group, I'm serious. Most people say, oh yeah, I'm teaching as a vocation. Then why are you getting paid $2 an hour? You know, oh yeah, we can't pay you anymore. Teaching is a vocation, isn't it? No, No, it's not. It's a job. I have to eat too. Anyway, you get it. Sorry for preaching. Okay, so that's that. Who am I as a teacher? I'm going to summarize the philosophy for you. To me, the word teacher means you did that. I became a teacher because I'm going to give you a few more questions to think about. When I first started to teach, fill that out. When I first started to teach, quick, the first thing that comes to your head, be honest. Okay, can I continue? Ready? I find teaching exciting and challenging because you can treat that any way you like. Can I continue? The best aspect of my life as a teacher now is now. Best aspect. You can project to the future. Money will not be an answer. The best aspect of my life as a teacher now is I get paid so much I don't know what to do with all the money I earn. Look at me, do I look like I get paid? Are you ready? You know what's coming next. You know what's coming next. The worst aspect of my life as a teacher. Please only write a few sentences, don't write a book. I'm just wondering if you put I hate the children, that might be a problem. Worst aspect? Students, I hate them. And then, I believe teaching is a calling book, and we did that already. So, I'm not going to ask you to share your last answers. I leave them to yourself. In the interest of time, I'm going to move on. We're going to finish with philosophy. But when you start answering these questions, you get an idea about who you are, the human being, the person behind the teacher, that nobody actually looks at. Have you heard of action research? Action research. In ESL, there's a huge movement of action research movement in which teachers are supposed to do research. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. This is nonsense. These are academics telling teachers to do research for academics, for their empire building. Academic empire, not for the teachers. And it's always a problem in the classroom. Oh, what would you like to fix in the classroom? I'd like to fix that you leave my classroom and don't come back. No, I'm sick and tired of it, the way teachers are treated in terms of it's always the deficit model. What's wrong? What's wrong in your classroom? What about asking what's right in my classroom? Most of what you do is right. And you're probably very good teachers. But we've been socialized as teachers to look for something going wrong. Especially, somebody, how many people have had an observer come to their class with a checklist? You've been observed. I call that a drive-by shooting. It's a drive-by shooting. Because they don't know about your class. Anyway, I won't go on about that. So, I'd like to move on. You have a journal. Feel free to write more about that later. I'm planting seeds today. I'm a farmer. Anyway, I'm not wearing rubber boots. Okay, so are you ready for the next? We're going to move on to principles. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. This one is going to, I introduced it a little bit, but I call this Ghosts Behind the Chalk Face. Have you ever heard of that? Okay, Ghosts Behind the Chalk Face. Now, I want you to, by yourself, get your pen out, ready. You have to think quickly on this question. Are you ready? I know it's Friday. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Here's the first question. It's a short one. Who's the teacher you like best at school? Any level. Kindergarten, high school. University, high school. If you can't remember the teacher's name, put down the subject. It's okay. You'll remember, you'll be able to describe it. The teacher you like best. Don't put my name. You ready for the next one?
Yeah.
You know what it is. The teacher you dislike most at school. I used to put the teacher I hated most, but my mother, God rest her soul, she always said, don't use the word hate. So dislike. What I mean is the teacher you hated most at school. I have a whole list. But one teacher you hated most. Sometimes in some countries I get somebody saying, oh, I didn't hate any teacher. Yes, you did. Don't be, you're not Mother Teresa or whatever your religion is. You hated somebody. In my school I have a list. If I saw them, I'd drive over them now. But you didn't listen to it. Are you ready? Okay, share with each other. Share. get angry with me. Okay, so the teacher I like best, the teacher. By the way, I have a question for you. You can't imagine me being your high school student. Where did I sit in high school? Where do you think I sat in high school? Me. Where do you think I sat? At the back. You're correct. I sat at the back. Wait. About 5 years ago, I was in my hometown in Ireland. And, well, I go back sometimes. And then, I went into an antique shop. And I met an old teacher of mine. And he was the teacher I liked most. He was my Spanish and English teacher, same guy. And I said to him, my name is, he said, I remember you. And then I said, what job do you think I do? He said, I bet you're a teacher. And I said, worse. I train teachers so I can teach English. And he said, yeah. He said, all the best gangsters that sit at the back make the best teachers. I felt, I've arrived. And I said, by the way, it's Dr. Farrell now. Anyway, I liked him. He used to say to me, I'd shout at the back, Farrell, look in the general direction of the book. Shut up. Sure, yeah. I liked him, so it was the teacher I disliked most. Oh my goodness. We don't have enough time. More than likely, they really hated me as well. They were, but, so, I won't go on too much more about that. But I will talk about some other aspects related to this. What we have to be very careful of as teachers is this, that we don't turn into the teacher we love best. Don't turn into that teacher that's not you. That's your mother or something, or the teacher you hated most. Okay, let me tell you, I was in Ashton University in Birmingham, the UK, doing workshops for PhD students doing a PhD in TESOL, right? I was doing this activity. One guy stood up and walked out. And I thought, what did I say? Because I use the F word, and it's not Farrell, which is my name. Every now and then, the Farrell, and sometimes I'm thinking, I'm like that. I'm not going to use it today. I refuse because I'm on camera. Self-censoring. So he walked out. And then he never came back. And then about 4 or 5 hours later, I met him. He said to me, after doing this activity, he realized that for 20 years, for the first time he realized, he had been teaching in opposition to the teacher he hated most. For example, and if the teacher he hated most was doing group work, he wouldn't do group work, something like that. But he never realized it, and we don't realize that. So this activity is, what we do is, and we don't have time today, you all talked about it, when you were talking about your teacher you hated most. Why? Well, there's qualities or things that the teacher was nasty, or when the teacher did good things, there's qualities. And you can get insights about what type of teacher you are. So, I asked many teachers around the world to do this, and every now and then I took notes, etc. I'd like to share some of the answers, and we don't have time to get yours, but you can tell me whether you have similar ideas as these teachers. So all the teacher you admire most, this is some of the ideas you get. You may have some more as well. Okay, I have another question for you. This is your teachers, right? And you have insights about what effective teaching is. What about your students? Did you ever ask your students? We never do, right? What about learner insights? I have done this many times, and then the teachers have taken workshops with me. They've gone back to class and asked them, what do you think a teacher's role is? What do you think a teacher should do? And they shared the results with me. By the way, if you do that, you're not teaching at the moment, are you? You're off, you're studying? You're teaching. So you're going to teach on Monday?
Yes.
Do this. To hell with the curriculum, don't worry about the curriculum. And please share the answers with me. Here's, look at this, look. Effective teaching skills, learner insights. This is what the learners hated. Sorry. I was most impressed with the last one. You know the pinching? You know the student you hate? You do hate. There's somebody you hate. You know, so every student is different. But we forget that. We treat them as a class. We don't see their individual differences. Okay? Look at this one, the dislike, what the learners dislike. You know, Michael, you stupid idiot, that's correct, not correct. Embarrass the students, right? But we sometimes when we're teaching, we forget that. We forget when we're doing it. One of the teachers I hated most in high school was the history teacher. He killed European history for life with me. He was lazy. He was lazy, and I can't use the next vocabulary. And he used to come in and write on the board. And I couldn't see the bloody board because my mother wouldn't buy glasses because I was fighting too much. And I was sitting at the back, I couldn't see it. So there's a period of European history which is a blank with me. I don't know what happened and I don't care anymore. But he was lazy. And then, all of these. And then what you do is when you're a student, you can look at this yourself. So I'm asking you, who are you as a teacher? Who are you? What are your beliefs? Who are you as a teacher? So I'm moving on here. Another aspect, your students. Remember I told you about the students, right? I have another activity for you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Divide your page into 3 sections, like this. Like that. If you have a page, do you have paper? Yeah. You're richer than I am. Let's cut down a few more trees. Don't worry about it. Right, are you ready? This is an activity that I do every day before I teach, and I'll tell you how I do it. Okay? Did I hear something? Okay, are you ready? By the way, 5:30, are you rigid 5:30? You want to stop? Okay. You're a problem student. Okay, are you ready? Okay, let's go. You ready? Negative images of your students. Write them down. Negative. What you don't like. Write it down. Don't be shy. Write them down. Negative images. Whatever. This is time for you as a teacher to have fun. Write them down. This is legal. Legally, you can hate your students. So many things. Write them down. I write them down for you. You can write in Korean, by the way. You don't have to write in English, although Professor Young might kill me for saying that. You can write in Korean. You can write in Russian. I don't mind. Any language you like. Grumpy. Oh, my goodness. These days, the young people, right?
Yeah.
Did you see that the other time? Not with you. With you? Threaten you?
Once.
I've heard that. And in Korea, I'm shocked because of my past. It was never before. Okay, next one. We're going. Okay, the legal anti-student is over. The legal anti-student is over. Next one is fears faced by your students. Look at your students' faces you were teaching. Look at what are their fears. What do you think they're afraid of? They could be afraid of you, but what are their fears? Just write down a few fears. In some schools, you know what a fear is? Hungry. Some of them are hungry. They don't have enough money. Or they fear society, get a job. Whatever you think. Your students, your group, look at them. You can see them. I don't know them. You know them. Okay? You have a few down. And then the next one. Positive attributes of your student. Good things about your students that you like. share that with your group for a moment? Yeah. You can pick any of them. By the way, Phil, you don't have to go 1, 2, 3. If you, whatever you want to talk about, pick anything you like. I'll give you 2 minutes. Okay, wait, okay. This one, I like this very much. Sorry to interrupt. By the way, it's great that you keep going. I mean, you can go to Mojar Matcha after. Continue to reflect. Alcohol helps reflection quite a bit. But what I do is, you know, I teach graduate students, I teach undergraduates. 1 minute before I go to class, I center myself with that question number 2. And you know, what do my students hear? Because sometimes we go and say, oh, geez, this class. You know what I mean? But we have the negative image before you bring that with you. You bring it with you. So when I tell you, by the way, I only found this about 3 years ago, by accident, this particular reflection. Somebody showed it to me and I thought, wait a minute. And fears. So I tried it with a graduate class that I really hated. I hated the whole room. And I hated it. And I went in and I thought, what are their fears? You know what I mean? Before I went to the room, I was a different person in the room. I was different. And the class soared. Every time before you win, your high school teachers, or what elementary, you have so many lessons in one day. So you're like a revolving door in a hotel. You can't do that without being a human being. Be a human being. That helps you a lot. Okay? I'm looking at the clock, 5:24. I have to decide what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to try and have you out by 5:30 or 5:32. Is that okay? Okay. So this is how you can actually develop this if you want. You know, what's my role as a teacher? What do my learners? We've already done it. What do my learners perceive? What are my beliefs about my students? How do I believe my students best learn English? You know, to sit back and think about that rather than looking at the curriculum. I know you have to do the curriculum. I know you have to do it. Korea is an exam country. I know I'm not stupid. I look stupid. I'm not totally stupid. Okay, so we have a few more things to do. One of them is the theory and practice. So I can do one of 2 things with you. I can't do everything. I started late. The Australian took over my time. Wait a minute. He's wearing a suit. He looks like a professor. I don't look like that. That's fine. And then I'm going to do one more thing in the classroom. So close your eyes while I go through the slides and find it. Okay. It's really, okay. Don't worry about that. Okay. Don't worry. Okay. Here we go. Instructions. I'm the teacher. You're my students. This is our last event today. Hello, class.
Hello.
You're good students. I hate you. So by the way, if your students see you pinch yourself, I don't know how that's going to go down. You're going to have a big welt up here. And you're going to go home and your husband or wife is going to say, what did you do to yourself? I hate my students. Okay. This is class. Hello, class. Hello. Teacher just started class. So will you help me? You're going to be the first student. You're going to be Michelle. This is Hollywood time. This is a transcript of 1.5 minutes of a real classroom in elementary school, English classroom. And I won't tell you from which country. Okay? It's not Canada. Okay, I'm the teacher. All right, now will you take out your book 4?
We get the book 4.
Book 4, yes, yes. You know it's a reading lesson. Why don't you get it out? Ready? All right, now, last week we were reading about Neverland. Where is Neverland? Do you think there's a real country called Neverland? But in the story, what does it say about Neverland? Have you been to Neverland? Misha. Okay, you're Misha. Misha? Right. Oh, by the way, the person beside you, what's going to come next? Tell the person, what's coming next? Tell the person, tell each other. What's coming next? Okay, yo, Misha, it's showtime, Hollywood time, you ready?
Can we give in our grammar homework on Monday?
Can you give me your grammar homework on Monday?
Yes, we have our last exercise.
Oh, that's because you've been lazy. He's been lazy and didn't do it proper, right?
No.
I'm sorry, you have to do it, otherwise I won't be able to finish marking to give you that before the holidays. Can we get on with the lesson, please? This is called reflection in action as you teach. In other words, the teacher has one frame of reference. I want to teach reading. The students say, Farrell, you. The F word? Farrell, you. We're not doing it. We want to find out what about the homework. Yesterday's homework, how many times have we done that in our class? And that, and this is the first beginning. By the way, this is a very experienced teacher. The teacher has no idea about this. The lesson was a disaster. It's called derailing lessons in jargon. And there's a woman called Courtney Caskin, she's an educator who used to do a lot of classroom analysis. There's no one-to-one correspondence between what the teacher teaches and the students learn. This for you, ladies and gentlemen, is a very important point for your psychological well-being for the rest of your life. No matter what the hell you do sometimes in class, they won't learn. You know you spend hours preparing a lesson, right? And it just bombs. Put on a bit, just throw it out, don't worry about it. Maybe the teacher before you beat them up and they're very angry. That happens in many classes. I don't mean physically, mentally. And sometimes you don't prepare a lesson and you come in as the best lesson of your life. Or you don't prepare well. So a classroom is a very, very strange place. One great part of research they did was in the TESOL class. The best student, they wanted to know what percentage of the class time did the best student pay attention. So they got somebody to sit beside them for a whole semester. Do you know what the percentage was? 51% of the class time. What the hell are they doing 49%? That's the best student. Yes, our job is not easy. So, my suggestion as a a result of this, it's 5:30 exactly. I could do a lot more, and I'd love to do it with you, but you want to go home. And I have to go to church. Irish church. It's a little bit different than other churches. And I'm going to have a cup of tea. It can be black or red. So I'm going to leave you with a thought, which this is if I have to end now, I leave you with a thought, right? And here's the thought: teach the students, not the curriculum. That is my mantra. Teach the students, not the curriculum. How many times have you been teaching and you taught, what do you call it in Korea? Level 1, is it the level in your school, class 1? You know, you have, let's say first grade, yeah. So you have 3 first grade classes or 4, and then at 10 o'clock in the morning you teach grade 1A math. And at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you grade 1B math. It's the same lesson, and it's totally different. You know why? Not because they're different students, right? Not the material, and people react differently. And by the way, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're different as well as the student. Reflective practice is very important for your life as a teacher. It allows you to analyze who you are as a person while teaching, not as a machine. And it's not problem-based. People think, well, I have to look for problems. No. You look at, if something goes well in your class, you find, well, why did it go well? If something goes bad, why did it go bad? But you treat it with the same emotion. You don't beat yourself up every time. Anyway, you have my email. Do you want me to put up the email again? And yeah, this is the end. See, look at all this I'm going to do. Look at the top one. Absolutely that. You know how long the internet took me to find that? Okay, so that's my email, tfarrell.q.ca. I will enjoy it. Give me feedback. You can say, you know, Farrell, please never come back to Korea. That's fine. And if you talk to other teachers, tell them about reflection. I have all this stuff on my webpage. There's papers. My most recent paper is Standing on the Shoulders of Giants, implementing reflective practice in TESOL. And I explained this model for you. It's under academic papers. It's the latest one I put up. I think it's in a journal in Iran of all places like that. My name is Tom. I was delighted to have you. Thank you very much. See you never again. Have a nice weekend.
저희 아예 핸드폰이 208호에서 딱 사시고 네, 저희가 드리는 게 있어서 받아가시면 될 것 같아요.
프라이머리 어디야?
뭐하라고?
아니요, 그런데